In this video, we'll be discussing about reordered paragraphs of PTE reading section. Mostly, 2 to 3 items are given in this section in which you need to arrange them in a sequence. This is quite easy section if you focus. If you focus on the structure of paragraphs and how those paragraphs are linked together, you can easily crack this section. First of all, one important thing is PTE paragraphs are always well constructed. They don't simply copy and paste anything from the internet. Those paragraphs given in PTE are well structured and well constructed. They are mostly coherent and they convey a clear and concise picture of an idea. And these paragraphs always follow basic writing techniques. And these paragraphs are linked to each other. So you need to identify those linking words and those connectors in order to reorder them. So first of all, style 1. This is most common style in English writing. The first sentence is known as topic sentence. This sentence conveys a clear idea related to a topic. This sentence is always independent. Means it doesn't depend on any other sentence. It is totally independent and it can survive alone. So next is sporting details. Next, second, third or fourth paragraph contain sporting details such as examples, explanations, advantages or disadvantages or any process related to the topic sentence. The last paragraph usually contains conclusion or results or any future prediction or any contrary fact, means any opposite idea. And if an explanation of contrary fact is given, then it can come in middle too, because if the writer gave explanation of that contrary fact, of that opposite fact, then it can come on second or third position as well. The style second is sometimes the writer starts the paragraph with a question or an example in order to illustrate the main idea. In order to make it more interesting, they sometimes start it with a question or an example. Next will be the topic sentence, which will always depend on the question or the example they have given in the first sentence. Next comes details and sporting info, which may be examples or which may be any timeline or any sporting ideas. Contrary facts and conclusion, future predictions and results always come at the end. So next is style 3. In this, the writer tells you a story. This is a narrative form of writing. In this, the writer explains the events separately in a sequence they took place. So mostly they have given a timeline in this case. So based on that timeline, you can easily arrange them in a timeline or chronological order. So next is how we can arrange them. We need to look at connectors. Linking words and connectors are very important in reorder paragraphs. So these linking words may be in addition, furthermore, moreover, also, or on the other hand, however, in order to express any contrary fact. So results, in order to just express the results, they can write as a result, in short, to sum up, since then, till, earlier, ago, just to mention some time. And these are always related to each other. Not only is always followed by but also. Although is always followed by but. And neither nor and either or. These are always together. So you need to understand these connectors in order to reorder the paragraphs properly. So next is, how can we solve reordered paragraphs? First thing to do is pick an independent sentence, which is a topic sentence, and this sentence can survive alone, and this is totally independent and it doesn't depend on any of other sentence. So first of all, pick an independent sentence, which will be our first sentence. Then the next sentence will give introduction of the topic sentence if it's not given in first, or it will give some sporting ideas or sporting details or examples or advantages. And one thing to notice is advantages are followed by disadvantages. not the disadvantages are followed by advantages. So in this case, if advantages and disadvantages are given in a paragraph, the paragraphs containing advantages will come first and then there will be disadvantages. So next is, in order to find next sentences, you need to identify the connectors, that how they are related to each other, what's the sequence and what's the coherence, how they are related to related to the first sentence, these following paragraphs. So next is this example. This I have taken from PTE offline test. So let's just read it and try to find an independent sentence. So first is, but in Scotland. So they started this with but. So this can't be the independent sentence. This is dependent on something else. So but in Scotland. So just leave this sentence because this sentence is not independent. This depends on something else. So next is, when this bank was founded. So leave this as well. They have talked about this bank, means in the previous paragraph there must be a name of bank or there must be a detail related to a bank, then only this paragraph can follow, when this bank. So leave this as well. To face growth of trade, it was deemed necessary to remedy this lack of inadequate currency. So this lack of an adequate currency means this lack. There must be explanation of some lack of adequate currency in the previous paragraph. So this is not an independent sentence. So next is, the first Scottish bank to do this. Again, to do this, there's some particular type of work or there is something which was done previously. So that's why they have said that the first Scottish bank to do this, some particular work. So this can't be the independent sentence as well. Next is, in most countries it is only the government through their central banks who are permitted to issue currency. So this is an independent sentence. If you read it again, you may notice that it can survive alone without help of these sentences. So this is our first sentence. In most countries, it is only the government through their central banks who are permitted to issue the currency. So in this, we need to understand the connector. It is only the government. Okay, so this connector must follow something else in the second paragraph. So this is our first paragraph. Okay, let's find the second one. It is only, and only is always followed by but. So this will be our second. But in Scotland, 3 banks are still allowed to issue banknotes. If you read it again, you will find the continuation. In most countries, it is only the government through their central banks who are permitted to issue currency. But in Scotland, 3 banks are still allowed to issue banknotes. So technically this only is followed by but. So this is connector and this is how these 2 paragraphs are connected. So let's find the third one. When this bank, so they told, but in Scotland 3 banks. They didn't say any particular bank. So in this they are saying this bank. So this can't be the third. To face growth of trade, it was deemed necessary to remedy this lack of inadequate currency. So this lack, they haven't mentioned any lack in this sentence. So these 2 paragraphs cannot be the third one. Okay, the first Scottish bank to do this. By this they mean issue banknotes. But in Scotland, 3 banks are still allowed to issue banknotes. The first Scottish bank to do this they mean to issue banknotes, was the Bank of Scotland. Now we got a name of a bank, Bank of Scotland. So next sentence will be, when this bank was founded. This bank, the Bank of Scotland. When this bank was founded in 1695, Scots coinage was in short supply and of uncertain value, compared with English, Dutch, Flemish or French coin. So if you say this one, in this you can clearly see was in short supply and of uncertain value compared with English, Dutch, Flemish or French coin. So to face growth of trade, it was deemed necessary to remedy this lack of an adequate currency. Here they have mentioned that there was a shortage. So here they have told this lack of an adequate currency. So this will be our last sentence. So again you can revise it with the same trend. Most countries only, but is connected to the only. Next, the first Scottish bank to do this. By this they mean issue banknotes. Next is when this bank, that is Bank of Scotland. After that, this will be our last sentence. So this is how you can identify the connectors, and this is how you can connect these paragraphs together. So let's take second example. Again, I have taken this from PTE offline practice test. First is these markets. Leave it here. They have told these markets. So there must be any market, or there must be any discussion on the market in the previous paragraph. So this paragraph can't be first. Okay. Mill was able to see an expanded role for the state in such legislation. Such legislation. So there must be any legislation in the previous paragraph. So this can't be the first. He was able to argue. He was means Mill. Mill was able to argue. So this can't be first. The first sentence can't use he, because there always be name of any person in the first paragraph. The first paragraph can't just begin with he. Next is there had already been some legislation to prevent such abuses. Again, such abuses, there must be any discussion on the abuses on the above paragraph, on the previous paragraph, then only we can continue this paragraph. So this can't be first as well. Okay. Markets may be good at encouraging innovation and following trends, but they were no good at ensuring social equality. So this is our independent sentence. It can survive without all of this. Markets may be good at encouraging innovation and following trends, but they were no good at ensuring social equality. So this is our first paragraph. Here they have told these markets. Here they talked about markets. So this will be second. These markets had become rapidly dominated by powerful enterprises who were able to act in their own interests against the interests of both worker and consumers. So there were powerful companies who were able to act in their own interests against the interests of both worker and consumers. So let's find the third sentence. Mill was able to see an expanded role for state in such legislation. So this can't be third. Such legislation. So there must be any previous paragraph with legislation information. So leave this paragraph. Next is he was able to argue. So he was. This paragraph will be followed. This paragraph will follow this one, because in this they have given the name of person. In this they have said he. So this paragraph will follow this one. Next is there had already been some legislation to prevent such abuses. In this paragraph they have talked related to abuses, like they were able to act in their own interests against the interest of both worker and consumers. So these are abuses. There had already been some legislation to prevent such abuses, such as various factory acts to prevent this exploitation of child workers. Here they have talked related to Factory Act to prevent the exploitation. Mill was able to see an expanded role for the state in such legislation. By legislation we mean laws. In this they have mentioned related to Factory Act. So this paragraph is the next one. Mill was able, and this is the last one. He was able to argue. So this is how we'll rearrange the paragraphs, by looking at the connectors. Next is this one. Let's find an independent sentence first. Largely self-educated musically, he studied. So this can't be the first one. There must be name of a person in first one. His wealthy family. Again, this can't be first one. Francis was a French composer and pianist. This could be first. In his later years. This can't be first again. His compositions. So technically, this is the first sentence. Francis was a French composer and pianist. Let's find the second sentence. Largely self-educated musically, he studied with the pianist Ricardo Wines, who became his mentor after the composer's parents died. So okay, this can be second. This can be second, we can't deny. Let's just study the next paragraphs. His wealthy family intended him for a business career and did not allow him to enroll at a music college. Okay, this is family background. In his later years and for decades after his death. So this can't be for second paragraph because in this they have talked related to later years. His compositions include melodies. So this can be the second. First, they told Francis was a French composer and pianist. His compositions include melodies, solo piano works, chamber music, and something, whatever it is. And next is, this is second paragraph. This was first, this is second paragraph. And third will be this one. His wealthy family intended him for a business career and did not allow him to enroll at a music college. And this will be next, largely self-educated musically. So if you read these two paragraphs, you can easily identify the sequence. In this, the person said his parents did not allow him to enroll at a music college. And in this, they said largely self-educated musically. So his parents didn't allow him to go to music college. So he did his study by himself. He was self-educated. And next is after the composer's parents died. So in this, his parents are already dead, and in this, his parents intended him for a business career. So technically, this paragraph will follow this one. So this was first, this was our second paragraph, this is third, and this is fourth. And this will be the last paragraph because they said for decades after his death, he had a reputation, particularly in his native country, as a humorous, lightweight composer. So in this, the writer is talking related to the death of the person and after his death, what his reputation will be. So this will be the last paragraph. This is how we can find connection and link between these mini paragraphs. Okay, next is this one. A steam engine is a heat engine that performs mechanical work using steam as its working fluid. So this is an independent sentence and this could be the first one. In 1698, this person patented a steam pump that used steam in direct contact with the water being pumped. Okay. Next is the use of boiling water to produce mechanical motion goes back over 2000 years, but early devices were not lightly practical. So this is also an independent sentence. Technically, this was also an independent sentence. In 1781, James Watt patented a steam engine that produced continuous rotatory motion. Watt's 10 horsepower engine enabled a wide range of manufacturing machinery to be powered. So again, this is also an independent sentence. Considering that the great majority of worldwide electro generation is produced by turbine type steam engines, the steam age is continuing with energy levels far beyond those of the turn at the 19th century. Again, this is also an independent sentence. So, how do you find the connectors in this? If you look closely, there is a timeline. In 1698, goes back over 2000 years. 1781 and 19th century. So this will be our first sentence. The use of boiling water to produce mechanical motion goes back over 2000 years, but early devices were not lightly practical. Because in timeline this should come first. Why can't this be first? Because it's talking related to steam engine, and these paragraphs are also talking related to steam engines. So the steam engine continuation will not be followed in this sentence. So this will be the first. Next will be in 1698, Thomas Savery patented a steam pump that used steam in direct contact with the water being pumped. So why this can't be second and why I'm saying this one is second? So let's just read it again. In this, they said use of boiling water. Okay, use of boiling water 2000 years ago. So in this, they haven't talked anything related to the steam. Next is here. This is the introduction of steam. In 1698, Thomas Savery patented a steam pump. Again, we haven't introduced with the steam engine, steam pump that used steam in direct contact with the water being pumped. So in this, they are talking related to water use and steam pump. Next is in 1781, James Watt patented a steam engine. Now they have introduced the idea of steam engine that produced continuously rotatory motion and this and this. Next is a steam engine is a heat engine that performs mechanical work using steam as its working fluid. So this can be the next because this is giving us introduction related to steam engine and steam engine idea is introduced in this paragraph. Next is 19th century. In this they are telling us related to the 19th century, so this will be the last. Again I'm repeating it. This will be our first according to the timeline because over 2000 years, and in this the person is talking related to boiling water. Next 1698, a steam pump. Steam engine is not introduced yet, so steam pump. Next will be there's 1781, steam engine is introduced. So then only we can tell the definition of steam engine. We can't say definition of steam engine before it was introduced because we are moving according to the timeline. 2000 years ago, then 1698, and steam engine is not introduced, so we can't use this as second sentence. So this will be the third. Steam engine is introduced, then we'll tell the definition of steam engine here, and then we'll tell related to the 19th century. So this is how, just try to find out a link. There is always a link, there is always a logical sequence in PTE. So just try to understand the link between these two paragraphs, these 4-5 paragraphs. Next is this one. It is used. Again, this can't be the first one. It is used. Leave it here. Periphery scholars face challenges of exclusion and linguicism in research and academic publication. So this can be the first. This is an independent sentence. Furthermore, it is also used. This can't be first again. Furthermore, it is always connected with something else. This is connected, so this should be connected to any previous paragraph. So this can't be first. Research comprises creative work undertaken on a systematic basis in order to increase the stock of knowledge, including knowledge of humans, culture, society, and the use of this stock of knowledge to devise new applications. So this is definition of research. As the great majority of mainstream academic journals are written in English, multilingual periphery scholars are often must translate their work in order to be accepted to elite Western dominated journals. So in this, they are talking related to multilingual periphery scholars. In this paragraph also, they said periphery scholars face the challenges of exclusion and linguicism in research. So these are problems in research. So we can't start any paragraph with the problems. Problems and contrary facts should come at the end, or drawbacks of any theory should come at the end. So we'll begin with the definition. Research comprises. This will be our first sentence. This will be our first paragraph because it tells related to definition of research. So we can't start the paragraph with problems in research. So first there will be definition. Next is, let's find second one. Furthermore, this can't be second one, and this is problem, okay, and this is explanation of the problem. This will be the second. Uses. First definition, then uses. It is used to establish or confirm facts, reaffirm the results of previous work, solve new or existing problems, support theorems, or develop new theories. This will be our second paragraph. Next, furthermore. This is continuation of this second paragraph, continuation of uses. It is also used to test validity of instruments, procedures, or experiments. Research may replicate elements of prior projects or the project as a whole. So this is continuation of this one. Next, we'll come to the problems now. Periphery scholars face the challenges of exclusion and linguicism in research and academic publication. This is next paragraph, and at last he is explaining this, exclusion and linguicism. As the great majority of mainstream academic journals are written in English, this is linguicism. Multilingual periphery scholars often must translate their work in order to be accepted to elite Western dominated journals. So in this, he has explained these problems in detail. So this will be last. So if we change the connectors such as furthermore, or we can just add some other connectors in this, the sequence of this paragraph will totally change, such as like this. Here I have added furthermore here instead of here, and I have added therefore in this second paragraph. So let's just begin with finding the solution and finding the connection of this paragraph. Again, we'll begin with the definition research comprises. Now, the second paragraph will be changed. First, it was this one. It is used. Now, the second paragraph will be this one. It is used to test the validity of instruments, procedures, experiments. Research may replicate elements of prior projects or the project as a whole. Furthermore. So just by changing the location of furthermore, the location of paragraphs also changed. So that's why I'm saying look for the connectors carefully. So next is I have added therefore here. Therefore, periphery scholars face the challenges of exclusion and linguicism in research and academic publication. So this can't be the next paragraph because of this. Therefore, when we say therefore means as a result of. Okay, as a result of, this should follow this paragraph. So after this, new theories. As the great majority of mainstream academic journals are written in English, multilingual periphery scholars often must translate their work in order to be accepted to elite Western dominated journals. Therefore, as a result of these problems, therefore, periphery scholars face the challenges of exclusion and linguicism in research and academic publication. Just by adding word therefore, which means as a result of, the location of these two paragraphs also changed. So that's why don't ignore connectors. Just look at the connectors carefully, look at the name of the person carefully, and this is how you can identify the sequence. Next is emergency techniques. Suppose you have got any difficult paragraph or any difficult vocabulary in these paragraphs, and again look for the connector. Don't just try to find out meaning of each and every sentence or each and every word. So let's take this example. So first of all, what you need to do is translate that in your native language. This is a very easy technique. Just translate the whole paragraph in your language, and this way you can understand that paragraph more carefully and properly, because we understand the things in our own native language properly. So just try to translate the whole paragraph in your native language. Next is replace the difficult word with the word something and keep on reading. Don't just stop reading if you find any difficult word. Just replace it with something and then keep on reading. And look for connectors. Again, the connectors are the only things which help you to reorder these paragraphs. So look for the connectors and don't worry about the difficult words and sentences. So let's take this example. Let's find an independent sentence first. Without debate, the Assembly enthusiastically adopted equality of taxation and redemption of all manorial rights except for those involving personal servitude, which were to be abolished without indemnification. So technically I don't know meaning of all of these. So let's just begin with my technique. Without debate, the assembly. Okay, without debate, there were any assembly, which enthusiasm, I know meaning of enthusiastically, but let's just suppose I don't. Assembly adopted equality of taxation and something of all something rights, except for those involving personal something, which were to be do something without something. So all I understood in this paragraph, without debate, there was an assembly which adopted equality of taxation and did something to the rights, and except for some people, and next I don't understand. So technically this can't be first because they have mentioned the assembly. There must be name of an assembly before this paragraph, in the previous paragraph, because whenever we use the word the assembly means that particular thing is already introduced in the previous paragraph. So next just go with the second one. On the night of 4th August 1789, the National Constituent Assembly, we got the name of that particular assembly, abolished something. Numerous peasant revolts had almost brought something to an end. In the August decrees sweeping away both the rights of the second estate and I don't know. So in second paragraph I got three things: a timeline, name of an assembly, and they have abolished something in this. Okay, next find the third one. The old judicial system based on the 13 regional parliaments was suspended in November 1789. So we got timeline 1789 August, 1789 November, okay, and officially abolished in September. Okay, the main institutional pillars of the old regime had vanished overnight. So something was vanished overnight. There was something, some old laws, they have vanished. Next, other proposals followed with the same success. So there are other proposals too. In this they have mentioned some of the proposals and there were other proposals too. So this can't be the first one again. So out of this will be the first. Why? First, because of timeline, because it is August 1789 and this is November 1789. First, this will be the first. Second point is it gives us name of an assembly. So this is the first sentence. Second will be this one. Without debate, the assembly adopted something and just do something with the right of people, and something also abolished, something different has also abolished, and they have also abolished something in this. They abolished feudalism in this, and here also they abolished something. So this will be the first sentence because of the timeline and name of the assembly. This will be the continuation because in this paragraph they are telling 2-3 other points the particular assembly did. They have abolished some 2-3 points, or they have done something related to the rights. So this will be the second. Third will be this one. Because of other proposals followed with the same success. So there are other legal something proposals: the equality of legal punishment, admission to all public office, abolition of venality in office, conversion of the I don't know what into payment subject into what, freedom of worship, prohibition of plural holding of benefit. So there are 6-7 other things which they have done, the particular assembly. So this will be the third paragraph, and this will be our last paragraph because in this they have said the main institutional pillars had vanished overnight. So in this the timeline also says this is in November 1789. Again, if you read it again and just translate into your native language, just try to find out the connectors. In this they have tell name of the assembly. In this again the assembly, it did something else, other proposals, So except these two proposals, in this they talked about other proposals which was mentioned by the same assembly. And next is how the old judicial system changed in November 1789. So this is how you can find the sequence of the paragraphs, because if you don't know the meaning of words, don't just stuck there. Don't try to find out the meaning of words. Just read out the whole paragraphs and look for the connectors. And if the vocabulary is very difficult, don't just try to find out the meaning of those particular words. Just try to find out the meaning of easy words and then just try to reorder paragraphs. And if in case you don't know anything related to these paragraphs, suppose, then just don't sit on that paragraph for 5 to 6 minutes. Just spend 2 to 3 minutes and move on to the next question. Don't waste your time if you are not able to reorder them properly. But with this, by looking at the connectors and by just finding some simple connectors and linking words, you can easily reorder these particular paragraphs. And one important thing is, whenever the word the is written with anything, it is always followed by the name of that particular assembly or something. If we have written an assembly, that can be first. The word a and the can be a and an can be first, like without debate. An assembly did this, so this can be first. But whenever they said the assembly, this will always be followed by name of the assembly or an assembly. So technically this is basic structure of paragraphs, and this is how you can easily reorder them. So in short, look for the connectors and linking words. This is very important. Look for the connectors, look for the linking words, just like we have said, this particular law, this law, that law, in addition, furthermore. However, these type of connectors should be looked out, and based on these connectors you can rearrange the paragraph. And spend just 2 to 3 minutes on one paragraph. Don't just stay there, don't just stuck with one paragraph. Just try to spend 1 to 2 minutes on one paragraph and just try to reorder it and then move to the next question. Next important thing is translate in your language. This is again very important, because when we translate the whole paragraph in our language, doesn't matter if we know the meaning of something or not, just translate in your language and it will give you an idea that how we can rearrange them. And next is the logical structure. Just make sure when you read something, try to find out the linkage and try to find out the logical structure. For example, whenever we just write any article, we start with definition, then purposes, then the types, advantages, disadvantages, and the end conclusion or any future prediction or any result of that particular thing. And in PTE the same sequence is followed. So hope this helps, because for me this never caused any problem and I always go with my guts. Try to rearrange them, try to just read them 2 or 3 times and then just go with your guts that how they sound perfect. So this is how you can rearrange. So just don't think too deep, or don't think in a penetrating way. Just go with your guts and just try to find out the main sequence and the main linking words of these paragraphs. So hope it helps. All the best for your exams.